All right, folks, happy Thursday. Go ahead and check in for me if you have not already done so. Grace, Harrison, Hugh, Lauren, Eric, Grace, Summer, Ziao. On my C is Kendra. It's not Kennedy. I know it's in that. And she just told me again. And then I just beast all my C and K sounds. See? Now I'm screwing you all up. Kendra. It's not. Yeah, that's. Leslie. I know it's a K sound. Leslie Soul. They left Melissa, Savannah, Assy, and Joe. I know. Damn it, I'm sorry. Oh, I don't even want to know. It's just gonna come to me. It's gonna come to me. It's gonna come to me when I cheat.
With a K. With a K.
That's wild.
K-N-D-N-C and then. I'm done. I have. Yeah.
Okay, I cheated. All right, do we all get checked in? We good? We got iClicker navigated? All right. On Tuesday, I asked you to give me one word to describe how you're feeling, and I told you we compare it to previous years. Get this out of the way. Okay. So first time I did this was spring 2022. So tired was the big word, excited, anxious, happy, calm. Spring 22 would then go to fall 22. I was on sabbatical, so we don't have that. Spring 23, number one word, tired, hungry, again, clearly another noon class. Intrigued, overwhelmed, calm, engaged, happy, stressed. Fall 23, tired, excited. Really intrigued. Oh, we got intrigued a couple times. Optimistic, that's good. Scrambled, hungry. Another noon class probably. Spring 23, tired, excited, stressed, nervous, hungry.
Full. Someone has full as well.
Someone's actually full, someone ate. And then fall 24, like that's so many darn things to come up with. Word in the middle is once again, 5 semesters running, tired. Close with sleepy, but then relaxed, tired. No hungry. No hungry. I just said everybody's names. Now you're gonna screw me up. Sorry. Hayden.
Yes.
All right. So you are more alike than you are different from previous years, perhaps. All right. Let's see what we learned on Tuesday. So multiple choice here, iClicker. Who collects vinyl records? Is it Brandon?
Oh, we have to put it.
Kayla, Joseph, or Emma? Who collects vinyl records?
I knew it. I was right.
I think pictures.
Yes. The stage scroll.
You know, Jake has a chat. It's pink too.
10 more seconds.
I actually remember that.
Closing in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And closed. Hey, wow, you are confident. 71% of you says it's Emma. Is it Emma?
Yeah.
Yeah, well done. Do you have a favorite?
Face Value by Phil Collins. I have the same music taste as my dad.
It's all good. All righty. All right, ooh, that's hard to see, sorry. A little review from Tuesday. So on Tuesday, we started with this idea of taking a construct, which is this fancy word for an idea. Okay, so something that's a bit abstract, like mental health or physical health or satisfaction. So taking this idea, making it more specific. So taking mental health and maybe making that stress or making that depression, or making that happiness, making it more specific. And then from there, we have to operationalize it, which just basically means figure out how to measure it. When we measure things, they have different attributes or characteristics or answers. And based on that, we put them at a particular, we call it a level of measurement. Okay, a level of measurement. There are four, although functionally for our purposes, there are really three because we collapse the last two. They gave you a mnemonic, over 21 mnemonic. The thing about a Pinot Noir, Noir. Okay.
Glass.
What's that?
It's like, I need a glass.
I need a glass, yep, because this hurts my brain and I need a glass of Pinot Noir. Okay, so at the lowest level is what we call nominal. Okay, or categorical. Categorical honestly makes more sense, but it screws up my cute little mnemonic. Because these are essentially, well, they are variables where the attributes are simply different from each other. They are categories. Okay, they are not more of one or less of one. They are just different categories. Hair color, major, state of residence, right-handed, left-handed. What conference you. Okay, and it's not more of one or the other. They're just different. Okay. Moving up one, we have ordinal, which sounds like order. Okay. Here we can put things in order. One has more than the other. We can rank them, but we don't know the distance between them. The example I use is if we run a race, okay, and we know Brandon won gold and Hayden won silver and Ryan won bronze. We know who was first, second, and third, but we don't necessarily know how far apart they were. Okay. The other example I use, which we'll see in surveys a lot, is when you put answer choices in ranges. So age is a popular one, income. So if I said, are you under 18, 19 to 25, 26 to 39, 40 and above, I know the person who selects 40 and above is older than the person who selects 26 to 39, but I don't know how much older. Okay, so I can put them in order, but I can't tell the difference. And the last two, interval or ratio, or we'll call these just scale sometimes. We know the distance between categories. So age could be ordinal. If I asked it like this, okay. It could be interval if I just asked, what's your age, fill in the blank. And someone told me 21, someone told me 27. I know they're 6 years apart. Okay, I can tell the difference. Okay. When we get to questionnaires, which we're going to very soon, the other common ordinal one we'll see is when it's a scale. So let's say it's rate your satisfaction with parking. Okay. And we might have very dissatisfied, somewhat dissatisfied, neutral, somewhat satisfied, and very satisfied. When we see something like this, we generally score it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This allows us to treat this as a scale variable, okay, scalar interval, okay? Because now I know if someone said somewhat satisfied and someone says somewhat dissatisfied, the difference between them is 2. If you want to get philosophical about this, you could say, well, these are ideas in your mind. Do you really know that somewhat satisfied is the same distance apart as somewhat dissatisfied and very dissatisfied? Of course not. But we make the assumption that they are. That allows us to do more with it. Okay, so where this is going to matter is when we start doing analysis. Well, it's two pieces, because when you do the analysis, the level of measurement will determine what analysis you can do. So when we get to an exam, one of the things I'll do is I'll give you a question. I'll say, like, you want to know what's the relationship between satisfaction and major? What analysis do you run? Okay. And you're actually going to have a little cheat sheet. Okay. And the cheat sheet's going to say, if you have a nominal variable and an interval variable, here's the analysis you do. And so then all you're going to have to do is go, I know satisfaction is interval. I know major is nominal. So therefore I run a t-test. You don't know that yet, but you're going to have the little cheat sheet. Okay. So the key is just being able to identify the level of measurement. So that's why we're going to spend a lot of time on this, even though it may not seem immediately relevant. I told you this is the trust me section of class. Trust me, this is going to be very important. Side story. This is not a political story. It has a political context, but it's not a political story. This is neutral. Let me clarify that before anybody records me. So did anybody see at the Democratic National Convention, there was this 12-year-old kid, I guess he's a YouTuber, and Mike Lindell, the MyPillow guy, you don't need to know who he is, but he went in disguise. I say it wasn't a very good disguise. That's why I air quoted to the Democratic National Convention, and he was giving this 12-year-old kid a hard time and telling about voter fraud and telling this 12-year-old kid there's all this voter fraud. And this kid just keeps going, where's your proof? Where's your evidence? Where's your evidence? Where's your evidence? And Mike Lindell, the supposed adult here, just keeps going off and off. And then the 12-year-old kid looks at him and says, so you're telling me your evidence is trust me, bro? So, sorry, when I say trust me, I think of that story now. So say, trust me, bro, like this is gonna matter. Not a political statement, just had a political context. All right, we're gonna come back to that in a moment, but I want to add one other piece to it. When we're talking about variables, we can also describe them in different ways. So the primary way we're gonna describe them is, you may have heard independent and dependent. Anyway, if you've taken a statistics class, you probably heard independent and dependent. Okay. My first time today, I complained about vocabulary in this class. These sound way too much alike. And so it makes them really hard to distinguish. Okay. So I much prefer to call these predictor and outcome. Predictor and outcome. I'll try to use both terms because some people have learned independent and dependent. Okay. But I know when I was learning this, independent and dependent was just confusing. They sounded way too much alike. Okay. Predictor and outcome. Because the predictor variable is what predicts the outcome. Okay. The independent predicts the dependent. For example, okay, your class attendance predicts your grade. Okay, the more you attend class, the higher your grade's likely to be. Okay, class attendance there is the predictor variable or independent. You want to use that. Okay, grade is the outcome variable or dependent. In my major and satisfaction example, okay, your major is a predictor variable. Satisfaction is outcome. Your major predicts outcome. Okay. I told you on Tuesday which school in Watts College has the highest sense of community. Remember what I said? You should remember. Which school in Watts College has the highest sense of community? C or D? We do. Okay, and that's based on data we collected in this class. Okay, so in that example, okay, our two variables are major, all right, or school, technically school, because there's like 5 different majors in C or D. Okay, school and sense of community, right? Which one of those is the predictor? Which predicts the other thing? What predicts what? And I say your school predicts your sense of community. Does your sense of community predict your school? Which comes first? Yeah, school predicts sense community. Which school you're in helps explain, to tie it back to that explanatory and descriptive, explain your sense of community. Okay. Predictor outcome. Okay. The amount of time you study predicts your grades. Amount of time studying is your predictor variable. Okay. Your grade is your outcome. Or independent dependent if you so choose. Okay. Independent variables or predictor variables exert influence on the outcome. They are the cause of the outcome. We're going to talk a lot about causality and how do we know one thing causes another thing to happen. Okay. Predictor variables cause the outcome variables. Sometimes, especially this class I've taught a lot, sometimes I pull up the slides, I'm like, why did I put that there? The two groups can't agree on the best route to the cheese, so Dr. Lazarus will introduce another variable to break the impasse. The variable they're introducing is the cat, the presence of a cat. Okay. In this case, okay, the presence of a cat predicts the route they will take. Presence of a cat predicts the route they will take. The dependent or outcome are what's influence. It's the result of. Your grade is the result of how much you study. Your grade is the result of how much you attend class. Okay. So those are the primary two we're going to talk about, but I do want to introduce a third one right now, and that we will call, sometimes we'll call it confound, or sometimes we'll call it nuisance because it's a pain in the rear. Nuisance variables are things we're not considering, that influence the outcome. Famous example, I submit to you that eating ice cream, a predictor variable, eating ice cream causes or predicts shark attacks. Okay, predictor eating ice cream, outcome shark attacks. I have data on these slides, but I have data to prove that to you. The more ice cream people eat, the more shark attacks happen. Therefore, eating ice cream causes shark attacks. Do you believe me?
No.
No? Why not?
Is it?
Causation doesn't always cause correlation, however it goes.
Well, you've clearly taken a stats class before, but tell me more about that. What else is going on?
Because you're probably at the beach and you're eating ice cream and
Yep.
sharks.
Yep, it's summer. You might be at the beach, you're eating ice cream. That's when shark attacks happen. That's when people are in the water. Okay? It's hot. Yeah.
Given a nuisance variable that's not easily found like that, how would you address them coming up?
How do you address nuisance variables?
If they're not so obvious like that, like obviously ice cream doesn't cause shark attacks,
Yeah.
but let's say something was more closely related.
So there's two, I'll say three ways to address it, okay? One is logic, but to your point, isn't always obvious, okay? Two is there are things we can do statistically. It gets a little more advanced, but there are things we can do statistically that kind of separates out where the influence is coming. And the third is what we would say is control for it. So in that example, if we only looked at that data in the summer, we're now controlling for temperature, and we would see no difference. So logic, statistical, which is more advanced than we'll get to in this class. And then we control for it by basically making everybody the same. So if I were looking at grades and major. And let's say I found that tourism majors get better grades than Parks and Rec majors. Okay, so you could say, well, tourism majors are smarter, but maybe that's not it. Maybe they just came to class more. Okay. So the way I control for that is I would just look at tourism majors and see were they basically the same, or was the tourism majors who came to class more do better than tourism majors who don't? So I narrow it in, and that's where research can kind of get ridiculous. Like you will see research studies, it's a comparison of, or no, how right-handed kayakers who live in New Jersey can get a bit absurd sometimes. So we also just have to use our brain. And it also leads to lots of mistakes. Once upon a time, we honestly believed that eating ice cream caused polio. There are ad campaigns, I'll pull them up, you can find them on YouTube, that tell you not to eat ice cream, like this produced by our health services because it causes polio. Okay. Interestingly, we still don't quite know, like there was some spike in the summer, we still don't quite understand why. But yeah, they are a nuisance because they prevent us from making easy conclusions. All right, let's practice for a moment. I'm gonna give you, I think there's like 5 examples here, 5 research questions, okay? I'm gonna ask you for 30 seconds-ish to think about these on your own. Like, what is the predictor? What is the outcome? Okay, so what are the variables? What's the predictor and what's the outcome? And then discuss with each other. But actually, let's do one together. Okay. Are men or women more satisfied with their TSA, Tourism Student Association, not their security experiences, with their TSA activities? Are men or women more satisfied with their TSA activities? Just think about it for a second. Some of you know it right away, but give everybody a chance to think about it. Okay. What are my variables? Q, give me one of them.
Okay, I said that the dependent variable is satisfaction.
Okay, dependent or outcome, okay, same, okay? Is satisfaction. Q says dependent is satisfaction. Do we believe her?
Yes.
This is a auditory, yes, Eric, or kinesthetic moment. So I see some kinesthetics going on here. Okay, yeah, I believe her. Okay, satisfaction here is your outcome variable or dependent. Okay, what predicts satisfaction in this example? What's our predictor or independent? I can picture it. There's a Y in there, an N in there,
One of those is.
and one of those in there. But don't tell me because I'm gonna
I'll
look it
go
up.
by hey you, that's fine.
Hey, you, yeah, all right, yeah. What's our predictor? Gender, yep, excellent. Okay. Gender. Evelyn. Okay. All right, I'm gonna give you the rest of them. Do it on your own for a minute, and then I'll have you discuss with each other, okay? Does change the temperature of a ball affect the height the ball bounce? Which age group is more likely to buy our kayaking equipment? Okay. What type of users create the most damage to our parks? What size of family is more likely to travel to our theme park? Just a minute silently on your own, and then I'll have you discuss with each other. Okay.
I just have a question. So with the first one, like, are men or women like more satisfied with their TSA activities? I thought that like the predictor would be the TSA activities. But it's the men and women.
Yeah,
I'm just like
yeah.
a little.
So the TSA activities in this case is actually not even a variable because it doesn't change.
But like, I don't know.
So
I
what
just
we want to
thought
know is gender
it
predicts
was-
gender predicts satisfaction with their activities. Not does their activity predict satisfaction. I could reword this and say, does the activity predict satisfaction? In which case, you're right, but that's not how it's worded. It says gender predict satisfaction with the activity.
Oh, okay.
Good question.
I understand. Thank
Good
you.
question. All right. All right, make a friend and share your answers. Go.
The
temperature.
I hate these so much. I thought it was temperature. Yeah.
Temperature and the.
Yeah, if you do, if you change your budget, will that be the outcome? Well, then,
Is that
for,
the outcome?
honestly,
Wait.
for all four, I thought it was the exact same way. And I don't wanna be like, oh. I was just like, that's what I was thinking.
These
It
are
was
some
just-
now.
I don't know, cause it's like, yeah, because the outcome by.
Yeah.
People are both like.
So like for the third one, damage.
What type of user, so change the user.
Yeah.
Okay. Got quiet, so I'm assuming you're gonna be, all right, so we do this. Make sure you're not cheating. Megan, odd or even?
Odd.
It is even. Your row is gonna answer this, so not just you, your row. Okay, I'm not gonna cold call anybody, but you've got your row to support you. Okay. Change the temperature of a ball affect the height the ball will bounce. What is the predictor variable? Temperature. Yep. Thanks, Brandon. Okay, temperature. Okay, what is the outcome variable?
Height.
Height. Yep, height. Okay, so does it affect is also a good way. For that. Excellent. Okay. Q, odd or even?
Even.
It is even. Pick a number 1, 3, or 4, or you can choose your own row.
What do you guys want?
Give us.
I pick 3.
3, row 3. What is our predictor variable? Yep, age group. Yep. Excellent. I see your row all nodding in agreement with you. Okay. What is our outcome variable? Okay. Buying, likelihood of buying, if I'm gonna be more specific. Okay, but yeah, you're basically right. Okay. Kendra, odd or even?
Odd.
It is even again. Okay, your row again. Okay, what type of users creates the most damage to our parks? What is the predictor variable?
Users.
Okay, yeah, type of users to be a little more specific, but yeah, you're right. And then our outcome? Damage. Mhm. Good. All right, Savannah, odd or even?
Even.
Yes, it is still even. Your row or 1, 2, or 3?
Wait, say it again.
Your row or 1, 2, or 3? Or pick another row.
You.
Me. That was clever. No one's ever done that before. All right. Pressure. What size of family is more likely to travel to our theme park? Our predictor variable is family size. Our outcome variable is likelihood to travel to the park. Okay, family size predicts likelihood to travel to the park. Someone last semester astutely pointed out, so like, is the predictor variable always first and the outcome variable always second? I was like, that's a really good observation. Not necessarily, but it is frequently worded that way. Okay, it is frequently worded that way, but it's not a guarantee. All right. Still on these. And we know what the predictors and the outcomes are now. Now I want you to go through each of them. And tell me, and we're gonna do this the same way. I'm gonna let you think about it on your own for a minute. You're gonna share with each other, then we'll do it as a class. Okay. What level of measurement is it? Okay. So what level of measurement is gender? What level of measurement is satisfaction? I will give you a little hint. Okay. Some of these you don't know. Okay, but you can narrow it to 2 choices. Okay. All right, take a minute on your own, and then we'll come back and discuss. Okay, go ahead and make a friend and share your answer.
I said ordinal.
Going off of when he did like satisfaction, like dissatisfied, how strong you were. That's what I was thinking, like, you set it up.
Set up that way, no, I can do that.
Then I thought two was ratio, like for temperature, like.
But yeah. Cause it could have a temperature, but.
Good.
Yeah.
Good, yeah.
Which I should.
Abdominal.
Yeah.
That would be. Regular severity.
Wait.
No, I like that one.
Never mind.
And then you do, yeah, like you do.
Yeah, figure out like for one or two people it's this many, yeah.
And you kind of, I guess you were doing kind of like,
Yeah.
survey-ish style.
Yeah.
And then, four, so, yeah. Even non-exams.
All right, talk to me. Talk to me. Okay, Candace. All right, this is, you're helping me remember your name. Odd or even? Make sure, so they know about cheating. Yeah, you can't.
Even.
It is still even. Your row or a different row? Okay, 1, 3, or 4? 1, 2, or 4, sorry.
Two.
Okay, row 2, I'll let you choose. Which one do you want to tackle?
We're just going order.
You're going in order, okay. Gender, men or women more satisfied with their TSA activities? So we decided gender was our predictor variable. What level of measurement is gender?
No.
Nominal or categorical? Now, not to make this confusing, but I feel like it needs to be said. We now understand that gender is a little more of a spectrum than we used to think it was just one or the other, but for now, we're gonna keep gender as nominal category. All right, satisfaction.
Ordinal.
Okay, I get one answer for ordinal. Is there another answer from row 2?
I thought it was ordinal. Yeah.
Satisfaction. The truth is, you don't know. Okay, because we don't know, based on the information you're given, you don't know how they measured it. Most likely, they measure this on some sort of scale, rate your satisfaction on a scale of 1 to 5, in which case it becomes interval or scale. Okay, because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we know how far apart those are. Okay, so that is probably interval or scale. Probably, but you actually don't know the information percentage. All right. Grace, odd or even? What? I thought I'd get you. It was the first time I changed it up and you got it. All right, your row or another row?
Another row.
Okay, 1, 3, or 4?
3.
Okay, row 3. They're returning the favor because you went after them last time. Does changing the temperature of a ball affect the height the ball will bounce? Temperature. What level of measurement, Leslie?
Isn't it interval?
Probably, yeah. It is probably interval. Now, if I told you that the temperature was under 100 degrees, or Arizona over 100 degrees, okay, that now becomes ordinal. Okay, because I know one is more than the other, but I actually don't know how far apart they are.
Wait, I thought temperature was ratio, cause it has to have that like point.
Well, that actually depends on is it Kelvin, Celsius, or Fahrenheit?
Never mind.
We're not gonna go there. We're just close enough.
Okay.
Interval or scale, and that's why we lump them scale. Okay, but again, if I just put it in categories, it's actually ordinal. Usually it's gonna be measured interval or scale. But if I just had like two choices, under 100 and above 100, I know this one's more than the other, but I don't know how much more, then it becomes ordinal. Okay, but it is usually gonna be interval or scale, okay? Height. I forgot what row we were on. 3. Huh?
Ratio.
Yeah, probably. It's actually the exact same as temperature, probably. Or interval, scale. Again, I will never ding you for that, but yeah. Yeah, probably, but it depends a bit on measurement. Okay? Lauren, odd or even?
Even.
It is even, okay? Your row or another row?
One.
She's like, I'm going after one. All right, which age group is more likely to buy our kayaking equipment? Okay. Predictor variable age group, I'm emphasizing that for intentional reasons. Okay, what level of measurement does that sound like? Ordinal. Yep, because we're putting them in groups, right? So I know who's older and who's younger, but I don't necessarily know the difference. Okay, likelihood to buy. We don't really know. We're probably gonna ask, on a scale of 1 to 5, how likely are you to buy? In which case it becomes interval, but we don't really know. Okay, I don't want to belabor that, but do we have, so type of user is. Can you be more? If I tell you one type, well, let's back this up a little bit. What are different types of users? What might that mean? Kids, adults, okay? Let's start there, okay? If it's kids, adults, what level of measurement is that? Can you be more kid or more adult? No, it's nominal, just a category. Yep, just a category. Okay, damage, again, yeah, Joe?
Well, couldn't you categorize that as intensity?
Tell me more.
Like
think so,
a specific user is a top user or a lower level user in level of intensity.
Okay, yeah, okay, so Joe has a great point. You could turn this into an interval variable. Okay. Yeah, you could. The answer to almost all these is it depends. So it's how you measure it. So these are usually damage, again, you're most likely gonna do that on a scale. Okay. What size of family? Okay. Could be, or it could be. It could be ordinal or interval. Yep. Are we gonna say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Or are we gonna say like 0 to 2, 3 to 5, 6 or more? So ordinal or interval. Okay. And then we've talked about these likelihood are probably being measured on a scale. All right, we're gonna keep practicing, but what questions do you have right now? All right, if you're on a laptop, you can go to tinyurl.com/402sleep. Rather do this on your phone, you can scan it and fill out that little survey for me.
Please.
Everybody done? Okay. All right, let's look at these. All right, the first one's how much do each of the following describe how you're feeling right now? Okay, so you've got angry, nervous, annoyed, vigorous, confident, satisfied. Not at all, a little, a moderate amount, a lot, a great deal. Someone who is a great deal more than someone who is a moderate amount? That's as obvious as you think it is. Yeah, okay. So we know it's not nominal because we know we can put them in order. Okay? It's a little tricky. Is the distance between not at all and a little the same as the distance between a lot and a great deal? Or the same here? Do I know how far apart these are? Probably not, but usually we're gonna assume we do. Okay, and the reason we do that is because it makes life easier on the analysis side. Okay, so usually, okay, and by the way, if you treat this as ordinal, it's not wrong. You are not wrong, but I'm gonna encourage you to think about this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it's integral. Okay, it's gonna give you the ability to do a lot more interesting analyses. So I would normally say this is integral. If you said ordinal, that would not be incorrect. But I would encourage you to treat it as integral. All right. Are any of these similar? Would you group any of these together? Yeah, which ones?
Angry and annoyed, maybe?
Angry and annoyed
I would like those three.
and nervous. Yep. Okay. What about vigorous, confident, and satisfied? Maybe.
And confident.
Yeah. So these actually come from a measurement called the profile of mood states. Okay. And we could say all these three are negative and these three are positive. Okay. So when we analyze this, instead of looking at each thing, we're going to look at them combined and we're going to say positive mood, negative mood. Okay. So this is an example of a multi-item measurement. Okay. We talked a little bit on Tuesday about why we do that, right? Because it gives us a little more nuance, a little more detail. Okay, last night, how much sleep did you get? All right, there's a clear answer to this. Less than 4, 4 to 6, or 7. Okay, let's start here. Someone who chose 7 or more sleep more than someone who chose less than 4.
Mhm.
Yes, so we know we can put it in order. We know it's not nominal. Okay. Someone who chose 7 or more, how much more did they sleep than someone who chose less than 4? Do we know? No. So we know it's ordinal. So it's ordinal. Okay. What is your major? Tourism or something else? Can I put these in order? Is one more of a major than another? Okay, no matter what you think about your major, you're not more of a major than something else. Okay. So these are just categories or nominal. I think kind of getting at some variables can be measured in different ways, okay? Next, we're gonna talk about writing questionnaires, which you're already starting to see. And you're gonna first make a decision about what level do you want to measure it at, and then write your questionnaire item to match that. Okay? And then my trust me bro moment, the level of measurement will impact the analysis. And based on that, so positive mood, negative mood, how much sleep you got, major. What are some questions that that data could answer for you? What are, based on that information, what would you like to know?
Someone was like feeling today.
Okay. How someone's feeling today? Okay. Yep. So that is descriptive. Okay. Remember we talked about descriptive and explanatory. That's a descriptive type question. Perfectly fine. Okay. What else? Megan.
Maybe the correlation between sleep and mood.
Okay. Tell us what correlation means.
Oh goodness, I have to think of words. Okay, like seeing how one thing affects another thing.
Yeah. Okay. Does sleep affect your mood? Okay. Correlation is a precise statistical test, which we'll learn, which is why I was teasing it out. Okay. Does sleep predictor affect mood outcome? Good. Cassie, did you have something else?
Yeah.
Okay.
After that, now I'm not sure, but I'll say it anyways.
Thank you.
why did this person get this amount of sleep?
Why did this person get this amount of sleep? Great question. Can I answer that with that data? Does it tell me why someone got a certain amount of sleep? Okay. Probably not. I could make an argument that their mood influenced their sleep because it doesn't actually tell me what order they happened in. Actually it does, because I said sleep last night and mood now. So it's an interesting question, but we can't answer it with that data. Okay. So I've got, does sleep influence mood? What else? Sultan,
Video games and obesity.
say it one more time.
Video games and obesity.
Okay, but did I ask anything about video games? Yep, so I can't answer it. It's a good question, but I don't have that data. I'm gonna come Emma first.
Major in sleep.
Okay, major in sleep. Okay.
Like, if certain majors, you could assume that they have more homework,
Yep.
so they're getting less sleep.
Yep, so does the major impact your sleep? Okay, and then there's one other one there, Grace.
Well, I was just gonna say, even then, the major wasn't very specific, so it's like you don't even.
Yeah, it would be nice to be more specific.
Yeah.
And I wasn't, because we have a lot of tourism majors and not as many as something else, so we lumped. But we can still say tourism versus non-tourism. You're absolutely right, but we can still say something. And then
Major and mood.
major and mood, yep. Okay, does major impact mood? All right. You just filled that out, so obviously these results are not from you, they're from last class. I'll bring you your results back next time. But let's see what we found from last class. All right. Is sleep related to mood? Okay, so people who slept less than 4 hours, average negative mood. So I told you we're going to treat these as interval, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a little less than 2. People who slept 4 to 6, 1.84. People who slept 7 or more, 1.63. Okay, so clearly the more sleep, the lower your negative mood. Okay. Positive mood, people who slept at least 2.48, in the middle, 2.48, people who slept the most, 2.72. What conclusion can you draw from that? Here it is visually. Here it is also visually. What's your conclusion? Does sleep affect mood? Which one of these do you want to see? Which one helps you the most? This one?
I mean, it does, but also not by much.
Okay, not by much. There's a little bit of judgment call of what is a lot and what is not. That gets into what we call effect size, which we'll get into later. But right now, it's just gonna be like, it seems like a lot, it doesn't seem like a lot, which is fine. Okay, so yeah, we see a clear trend. Negative mood goes down with more sleep. Okay. We see a decent trend between not at all in the middle and a lot, like a big jump here. Okay, so I would say if you get a lot of sleep, it improves your positive mood. Anything else is like about the same. Okay, if you're already in 4 to 6 hours, might as well keep staying up because it's not going to change your positive mood. Yeah, Joe.
Trying to figure out how do you measure something that's subjective like that on a quantitative
Like mood.
level? Yeah. It could just be
Yeah,
they had a bad morning, and then it could skew.
yeah.
it could
So
skew results.
you're getting at two things there. One is confounds, and there's a lot of confounds. Okay. Two is the validity of self-report, which is a whole science of psychometrics. Trust me, bro. So yeah, but these are the things that as evaluators and researchers, you need to think about, right? So I always tell people, like, you gotta thread the needle a bit and find this balance. So here's the data we have. Can we use it to draw some conclusions? Yeah, we can say it appears that people who sleep more are gonna be in a better mood, okay? And we need to be aware that there are some confounds and self-report's not perfect. So it's being a little humbly confident. Okay, so drawing some conclusions with some humility. Is that no? Anyway. See what else do we find here? we talked about this. Oh, here's an interesting one. Is positive mood related to negative mood? It seems like a weird question, right? Okay, but there's also a weird result. Okay, no. This, I told you correlation was a specific test. We'll get to what this means, but or the number, but I gotta say, positive mood is not related to negative mood. Okay, you would think the higher you scored on positive, the lower you scored on negative, right? Actually not the case. Okay, not the case at all. Those things are completely unrelated. Okay, if we look back at our measurements. Okay. You can score high on angry, nervous, annoyed. And you might score high on vigorous, confident, and satisfied. You might think those would be opposite, but they're not necessarily. Someone pointed out to me astutely that, we think about like annoyed and vigorous both have this intensity to them. So maybe that's why they're lumping together. But yeah, actually not related. Tourism majors in a better mood than other majors. Yeah,
Question about the last slide, sorry.
about the last one.
About the last slide.
Okay, this one?
Yeah,
Yep.
so in order to get those things to correlate, would you have to ask positive questions that have like positive words that have an exact opposite meaning for negative words? So like, would you have to?
That would probably increase the likelihood that they would correlate. Yeah. But we don't necessarily need them to correlate. We're just trying to find out if they do. But yeah, that would probably increase your odds. Tourism majors, what do you think? Are you in better moods than non-tourism majors? Leslie, it looks like she's a yes.
And I'm happy.
Okay.
Tourism major.
Negative mood, again, this was previous classes, so we'll see if you're different. Okay, previous classes, basically no difference in negative mood, but the non-tourism majors were actually had a much higher positive moods. Okay. Tourism majors, maybe that's because you're sitting in class and not traveling and you'd rather be traveling. I don't know. We can, the other kind of fun part of this, I think it's fun. Some people, it's gonna be Joe, I tell you right now, are gonna get frustrated with this. Like, it's fun to ask the why. And sorry, Joe, I'm picking on you because I can tell Joe's gonna be like, yeah, but what about this? What about this? We don't have enough data. You're right, we don't have enough data. Okay, but it's kind of fun to guess why. Okay. It might be because, I mean, it's kind of silly, but you're traveling. Maybe you want to be traveling. Maybe tourism majors all have a class right before this and the other folks don't. And therefore you're not as positive as the other folks. Like, we don't know without measuring all those other things. But that's also how we research and evaluation is iterative, meaning it like step by step. So you might get data like this, then you might say, well, why? Maybe it's because tourism majors have a class before this and other majors don't. So let's do another survey and ask that. Why? Well, maybe it's because this other thing. So let's find out that. And so it's this ongoing process. So this is science in general, right? It builds upon itself. It's constantly self-improving, trying to find out more, sometimes finding out what we previously thought was wrong. Okay. Where does the major sleep more? Yeah, okay, Kayla says yes. Okay. Sorry, hard to see. Less than 4 hours. So our tourism majors, 13% of previous classes slept less than 4 hours, 13% 4 to 6 hours, 73% of you slept 7 or more hours. For the other majors, only 6% slept less than 4, 35 4 to 6, and 59 7 or more. So based on this, our tourism majors, more of you slept 7 or more, but also more of you're more extreme is what I would say. Tourism majors, you're more extreme with your sleep habits. You either sleep a lot or you sleep very little.
I said a lot.
Okay.
I slept like 12 hours.
So, I show you this, it was just just to give you an idea of how visually we can show things differently.
So.
Okay, but I just want to give you a little bit of ideas of how we can use data. Okay, how we can use data to answer questions. And yeah, we're looking at very simple stuff right now. And largely that's because you're just learning, and we can start to make it more complicated. The reality is, as future professionals, most of the time you're not gonna have all the data you want. Okay, you're gonna have, what about this other thing question? Okay, and so it goes back to what I was saying, you have to find that balance between humbly making conclusions. Because you want to use that data, you want to make, we say, data-driven decisions. Okay, you want to use the data to make decisions, to make your organizations, your communities better. Also realizing that you don't have all the data you would like. And you kind of got to live with that uncertainty. Not kind of, you do have to live with that uncertainty. Okay. Oh, that's fine. All right, I'm gonna show you a little 3-minute video. As you watch it, I want to see if I can turn off these lights. Write down what are the variables. Okay. And then what are predictors and what are outcomes? And then to the extent you can, it's not always obvious, what level are they measured at? What are the variables? Is it predictor or outcome? And if you can tell, what is it measured at? Let's see.
And then, if it's like normal.
Nope, still wrong direction. All right, I don't know how to turn these lights off. Sorry. You live in? How bad, back row? How bad is this?
Bribery works for my kids. They love to be bribed. For 50 cents, I can buy whatever I want in my house.
Oh, and I forgot this dollar.
The closest thing to worldview, I would say, in economics, is that incentives matter. Not just financial incentives, but social incentives and moral incentives. Our goal was to figure out, can we cheaply and quickly move the needle at a school? Can we get kids to achieve more as quickly as possible with spending very little money?
There are 900 freshmen in our experiment. At the end of every month, we hold a payout event where all the kids who have gotten all C's and above receive $50 in cash. In addition, those who qualify are also eligible for a lottery where they can win $500. Win the money, they have to have no more than one unexcused absence, no all-day suspensions, and all your grades at the end of the month have to be a C or higher. Great to give them this financial reward, but it's also about having a lot of fans that are around it, giving them this big Ed McMahon check, sending them home in a Hummer limo. I think there's definitely a limo.
Nice.
Awesome. Oh, that is so cool. Are you serious? They get to writing that? Oh, that is so awesome. Oh my God. This is awesome. Oh, yes. Yes. You are getting straight A's from me. Yes. There's a lot of things that I would do for money. I mean, I work all year round. Hi, I'm a representative for Euro Kings Warriors No Shoveling Service. We charge $3 for a walkway and $5 for a driveway. Would you like to hire our services for today? Hook, line, and sinker. They say money doesn't buy happiness, and I agree, but I disagree. That's all how you look at it. Because when they say money can't buy happiness, they're saying material things cannot make us happy. Wanna bet? Okay.
scale 083. Unfortunately, that person did not meet the standards this month, so we cannot give them the money.
You know what you need to do next month, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're pumped, you're gonna be meeting the standards next month?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
I took a look in that limousine, I'm like,
Oh, you saw the limousine outside?
it was awesome. The lines, the way it was tricked down, oh,
Did make some video right there. All right, what's the big picture question? What are they trying to answer? What do they want to know?
How does financial incentive impact academic performance?
Okay, how does, or even just does, financial incentive impact academic performance? I would say that's 90% of it, but think a little broader. It's not just financial incentive. Right, it's incentives more broadly, because it's finance, it's the they call it the limo effect. Okay, it's the whole fanfare. Okay.
Get like a big check, it's like a
Yep,
showboat.
exactly. And then it's not just academic performance, it's achievement, because they're also measuring other things. Okay. Okay. So our predictor here is incentives, our outcome is achievement. Our constructs, to go back to that word, so our abstract ideas are incentives and achievement. Now, that gets operationalized, incentives gets operationalized as finance, money, okay? And as what they call the limo effect, okay, fanfare. Okay. How does achievement get operationalized? What are they measuring? Grades. What else? Did you catch it? Two other things. Attendance and one other thing. Suspensions. Yep. Okay. Cash, the financial. Do you remember what the deal was?
They got C or higher, they got 50, was it?
I think so. Yeah.
C or higher.
We're also putting
Put in a lottery to get more. Yeah. Okay. What level of measurement is that?
Ordinal,
Okay. Tell me why.
lucky guess.
All right. Fair enough. I appreciate the honesty. Okay. Okay. It was a good guess to say ordinal or interval or ratio, but ordinal interval is a good guess. So you need a 50% chance there. Okay. So they got $50 or nothing, basically, right? Do I know? So I know the person who got $50 got more than the person who got nothing. Do I know how much more they got? $50 versus nothing?
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. So it becomes interval ratio, interval. All right. I try not to confuse you and just say interval, and then sometimes I'm like, some of you are gonna go to grad school and you're gonna professor like, that's ratio. And you're like, but my professor, like, yeah, this doesn't matter. Yeah. Okay. Fanfare, the limo effect. Okay, so they either got it or they didn't. What would you say that level of measurement is? It's not obvious. It's not obvious. So sometimes you start with this. So they either got fanfare or they didn't. So do you know who got more fanfare than who didn't? You get it or you didn't? So the person who got fanfare get more fanfare than the person who didn't? Yeah, yeah. So we know it's not categorical or nominal. Okay? Do we know how much more fanfare they got, or can we like tell the difference? Not really. Not really. Yeah, it's ordinal. Yeah, yeah. Okay, because we know one has more fanfare than the other. Okay, we can't really quantify that, so it's just ordinal. Okay. Achievement, we said absences. Okay, I didn't even catch it. What was the rule around absences?
They need to have
Just one unexcused.
One or less.
Okay, just one or less. Okay? So we know the person who has 3 has more than the person who has 0. So if that was the case, that's interval, except all they're asking is it more than 1 or less than 1? Okay, more than 1, less than 1. We know more than 1 is more than less than 1. Do we know how much more? More than 1, do we know how much more that is than less than 1? No, we just know it's more. Okay, so it's ordinal. Okay, ordinal. If we said 4 versus 1, yes, interval, but they're just measuring more than, less than. Okay? Grades, it was C or higher. Okay, same idea. Do we know the person who got a B or got higher than a C scored better than the person who got lower than a C? Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I know I'm pushing our limits today. Okay, yes. Do we know how much higher? If I just said Megan got better than a C, sorry, Brandon. Brandon got less than a C. Okay, do we know who got a better grade? Yeah. Do we know how much better? Yeah. Okay, so it's ordinal. Okay. So yeah, so most of these are actually at ordinal level. What questions do you have? Okay, I'm gonna ask you yeah, Q.
I did have a question. So I know like a lot of times like ordinal and like interval, they could be like, it kind of could be one or the other. Like, are there like any like determining factors that could be like, oh, like, this is definitely like interval?
Yeah. There are times that it is definite. Okay, if I can clearly tell the difference between the two, if I can clearly, I say, if I can subtract one answer from the other, that's definitely interval. Okay, there are times we make an assumption. Good question. What other questions do you have? All right, I have an interval level question for you. Okay, on a scale of 1 to 5, okay? Yeah, so 5 being E, because this is how my clicker does it, right? Okay, and 1 being A, okay? 5 being, let's go, give me the test today, and 1 being like, dear God, I am lost. How are you feeling about levels of measurement and identifying variables? Let's see how I influenced.
Can we have our notes?
Huh? Just how are you feeling in general? No, you will not have your notes for your test. That's the. Closing in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. All right. So, nobody's ready to take the test today? Good shot. All right, this is about where I expect you to be. Okay. I will say, if you are down here, maybe even here, couple things. 1, we're gonna keep practicing. 2, there are some additional materials on Canvas. There's little like 5-minute audio reviews that are there for you. It might be a good idea to review those, and as always, you're welcome to set up a meeting with me. Okay. Tuesday. Okay, we're gonna hope that I'm not. So today for me is like Christmas Eve, really, because I leave for New York in my annual US Open trip in the morning. So if you want to watch tennis this weekend, for a good chunk of the weekend, I'll be in the President's Suite. Although it's right behind the main camera, so they don't actually show it very often unless there's a celebrity in there, which for some reason isn't me. But yeah, this is like Christmas. I always say this is the best time of the year. So I tell you that in part because it's fun for me. I have a ridiculously early flight back Tuesday, so I will be here. Barring travel worries. Travel, if I have travel issues, my PhD student will be here, it'll be fine. We'll see how much of a zombie I am. But anyway, I think what we're going to do is we're gonna go ahead and start talking about writing questionnaires. That's gonna be a little, if I think about like brain engagement, I think like this stuff's really hard, that's gonna dial it down a little bit. So I'll give our brain a little bit of a break, and then we'll incorporate level of measurements into questionnaires, okay? Unless I'm a total zombie, then I have an activity for you to practice, right? All right, folks, thank you, nice work today. Have a wonderful weekend. I will see you on Tuesday.
Oh, after that, you're all clear.